Hello, hello, my friends. It is time for my late April candle chat. This is a series that I like to do twice a month on my channel where I sit down, we just casually chat about what candles I am currently burning. I give you some suggestions for fragrances that complement each other if you're like me and like to burn multiple candles at different points throughout your house. It's just a fun little video that I like to give you guys maybe some updates about how candles are burning for me, maybe some fragrances that have been around for a while, but maybe they're, not talked about as often anymore. Just kind of, it's just a fun video to sit down and talk about wax. So make sure you cozy up. I know some of us are experiencing really warm weather. Some of us are still experiencing cold weather. We have Easter Sunday coming up this weekend, which is why I won't have an upload tomorrow. I do hope that you guys enjoy the weekend with family, however you guys celebrate that holiday. If you are celebrating, I'll let you guys know at the end of this video what my plans are for that. But also because there are a lot of plans going on this weekend, you can see I'm wearing the same outfit I wore in my Caramel Sundays video because I've got to do some batch filming this week. Just very, very busy week. So let's go ahead and settle in. I always say grab a snack, grab a drink, just hang out with me here. If you like this video, please make sure you hit the old thumbs up button. It really helps me out. Consider subscribing to my channel if you are new and you like candle content. But let's go ahead and dive into what I am burning. So I typically like to start this video out by sharing what I am burning at the moment, because if honestly I don't do that, then I forget. So right now I am looking over here along my wall and I am currently burning the fragrance Blooming Trellis from Homeworx. So if you caught my Homeworx haul video that I did last week with my daughter, which by the way, I ended up having to upload that twice because something happened with the first upload. Thank you so much to all of you guys who reached out and said like, I don't know what's happening, but suddenly you guys are speaking in German or Japanese and it's quite interesting, but I don't know what you're saying. And I tried everything on my end to fix it. What I think it is that the YouTube Studio, they introduced a new feature where it allowed AI to start auto dubbing in other languages. And so I did turn that feature off on all of my uploads, but it wouldn't correct on the first upload. So I went ahead and made that video private and then went ahead and re-uploaded it. So if you saw that earlier this week and you were like, didn't she just put that one up last week? That is why. But anyways, one of the fragrances that really intrigued not only myself, but my daughter was the fragrance that we called the wedding candle. It's called Blooming Trellis. Now, I actually forgot to write down what the fragrance notes are on it. But I'm going to tell you guys, it's a very delicate, kind of like honeysuckle. You get a little bit of, tiny little bit of like jasmine and gardenia in that fragrance. And I believe that there's also some bergamot in that candle. It's very, very nice. It's a delicate take on what is normally maybe like, honeysuckle can be very, very sweet. And jasmine and gardenia, if they're not done well, they can be a little bit, gardenia in particular can be very, very like heady and whoa. I'm going to tell you guys, this fragrance is not like that. Now, I'm looking at it right now. I've had it lit for about 45 minutes now out here in the open concept. And I'm going to tell you guys, it's pretty light out here in the open concept. In fact, I really can't smell it out here. However, when I have it lit in the more closed concept bedroom, it is definitely more noticeable. I do find that I need to burn it I did find that I needed to burn it in a hurricane, the first two burns, because one of the things we've talked about with some of the more recent Homeworx candles is that they've been burning really hot and fast. I burned through that whipped raspberry vanilla in like 6 burns, I think. They're burning pretty hot and fast. However, this one is not burning as quickly like that, and it is having that pooling out issue that we were experiencing with a lot of Homeworx candles over the last couple of years. So I don't know, like I like the fragrance on it, but I do think that it's better suited in a more closed concept, and even then in a hurricane. Now, once I placed it in the hurricane and in the closed concept, it was definitely a noticeable fragrance. That honeysuckle really, really comes out. But stay tuned, you guys. I will have a dedicated post-burn review on that candle coming out probably, I'm going to say probably this week. I'll have that ready for you guys. But it's a very nice fragrance. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and settle on the strength and throw of it. Without a hurricane is probably around like a 5. But when I put it in a hurricane, it jumps up to about a 7. That's where I'm at right now, but stay tuned for the dedicated review. I do actually have a candle in one of my candle crocks. And in fact, that is in my daughter's bedroom right now. I did decide to go ahead and crock my 2024 version of Lemon Sugar Marshmallow. In my last candle chat, I shared with you guys that I experienced the same thing a lot of you guys commented about with one of the 2024 Lemon Sugar Marshmallow pours, and that there were some wick issues. The wicks were not staying lit. I had the exact same issue when I went to light it up this year. So that candle, I did decide to go ahead and crock. Now, the thing I will say is that the 2025 Lemon Sugar Marshmallow is performing beautifully for me. There's no wick issues at all with it. So I don't know. It was something with that 2024 one, but that fragrance is currently going in my candle crock because I felt like this week would be the week where I could just really, it's such a versatile fragrance. It goes with so many other candles that I've been burning this week. So I did put that in my daughter's room. And then currently in my bedroom, I am burning one of the new Kringle candle 3 wicks, Grandma's Lemonade, which if you caught that haul video that I uploaded last weekend, I told you guys that that fragrance to me smells very, very similar to Bath and Body Works Limoncello or their sugared lemonade fragrance. It is, it's definitely a very tart, sweet, sugary lemon scent, but it's also very different than say Lemon Sugar Marshmallow, where there's a little bit more. I would say the Lemon Sugar Marshmallow, how Kringle did that candle is that the lemon note is, it's not as, how do I put this? It's not as like artificially sugary in Lemon Sugar Marshmallow. And there's a little bit of vanilla in there. And I also get a slight shortbread note in that Lemon Sugar Marshmallow, whereas the Grandma's Lemonade is definitely like a lemonade candle. There's the tart sweetness with it. And I will tell you guys, that candle to me is performing, it's a powerhouse. That one for me is about a 9 in terms of strength and throw. In fact, I'm currently burning it in my bedroom and it's almost too much in there. That is one of those candles that I prefer burning it out here in the open concept. Right now, I actually probably would have preferred to put it out here, but again, I'm testing out the blooming trellis out here in the open concept so that way I can put some thoughts together for a dedicated review. But otherwise, that Grandma's Lemonade belongs out here in the open concept. I've also seen some people post in the Kringle Facebook group that one has been very strong for them. So if you want a good, strong lemon, like lemonade type of scent, if you like limoncello from Bath and Body Works, if you like their lemonade, what is it, their sugared lemonade fragrance, but maybe you haven't been too happy with the performance of Bath and Body Works candles lately, I would encourage you to go ahead and check out that Grandma's Lemonade over at Kringle. I believe at the time that I'm filming this, and I don't know if this is going to be their permanent pricing, but those candles are 3 for $33. So they're like $11 each if you wanted to stock up on those. But I will make sure that I do a dedicated post-burn review on that one. That will also probably be coming up this week. It's performing very well for me. The burn is really, really good on it so far. But right now I'm only about a third of the way burned on it. So those are my thoughts so far on those candles. So let's go ahead and dive into some other fragrances that I have been burning this week. Yankee Candles Pink Sands. This one is such a good fragrance. Again, Yankee doesn't put their fragrance notes on the bottom here, but this is a fragrance that's been around for a long time with Yankee. If you're familiar with Bath and Body Works, they had a candle called Flamingo Beach that was out a few years ago. Very, very similar. This is like, there's berry notes in here. It's slightly creamy. There's maybe a little bit of like tangerine in here. It's fruity, but also not, it's not fruity in the way of like, I want to eat this fruity. No boozy elements like a cocktail. It's a good, sweet, perfect summer fragrance. Now, the reason why I've had this out is because I have been burning this alongside the Caramel Sundays Golden Hour fragrance, which I did do a review on yesterday for you guys. And I'm going to tell you guys that combination is actually really, really nice. Golden Hour is a little bit more of like a soft, perfumey type of fragrance, but the fruitiness in this one actually complements some of the fruity elements in Golden Hour. Now this has been performing actually very, very well for me. You're going to see, I actually don't even really have any soot or anything like that in this candle as of right now. Now I'm almost to the halfway point. Wicks are performing quite well. This candle does burn very, very hot, but again, so far I'm not seeing any soot accrual happening. Now that being said, I do max out the burn time on this candle at about 4 hours. I don't let it go any longer than that. But this has been performing very, very well for me. It's also been very strong in the 3-wick. So Melanie, if you're watching this, I know you love this fragrance. Purchase it in the 3-wick because it's been throwing really, really well for me. Strength and throw on this is a solid 8.5, I would say. Performs very well out here in the open concept. It's very strong in the closed concept. So Pink Sands in the 3-wick. If you love this fragrance from Yankee, if you've only tried it in the 2-wick and you wanted it to be stronger, get it in the 3-wick because so far the burn has been pretty good on it. I don't see myself doing a dedicated review on this one. I don't know. Let me know in the comment box if you do want to, but I know that this is a fragrance that's been around for a long time with Yankee, so I'm not really sure if a lot of people would really tune in for that review. But I do really, really like that fragrance, and I would consider repurchasing it because it has been performing so well for me. Let's go ahead and talk about a Kringle Reserve candle that I've given a couple of more burns to. This is the fragrance Minty Melon. This is from their most recent Reserve drop. We have fragrance notes of melon, mint leaf, citrus, herbal, sweet, and musk. And this is a beautiful fragrance. Now, I'm going to tell you guys that the watermelon note in here, it's definitely like green watermelon rind. There's a little element of like juiciness to this. The mint note is there. However, I will say that it's not a dominant note. It's very, very light in the background. And I know that a couple of other people who have said, I don't typically like mint fragrances, but don't be afraid of this. I don't detect it. They've also chimed in with those thoughts. So I would say this is still very much a watermelon forward type of fragrance. It's done very beautifully. This is my favorite fragrance from those new, from the new Reserve lineup. I still have some dedicated post burns that I need to get done on some of those. I think the next one I will be ready to review is White Lotus, but oh, this is really good. It's juicy. It's refreshing. It's definitely watermelon. Now, the watermelon note is kind of similar to the Watermelon Pops candle that they had in the Country Candle lineup. Now, that to me was like more sugary Jolly Rancher watermelon. There are aspects of that here, but this is not as sugary to my nose. There's definitely a little bit more of what I would say would be like natural watermelon, like what you would put in a drink. It's very nice. It's very refreshing. I will say that the first burn on this candle was very, very strong for me. But then when I burned it for the second time out here, I think it was on one of the days where I had the air conditioning going and the fan and the area that I had it placed in, I found that it wasn't as strong. But then the third burn that I did on it, it kicked back up. So I'm going to say right now where I'm at, and again, I haven't burned it really a ton yet. This one for me, strength and throw right now is around like, I'm going to say like 7.5 for me, but I'm going to keep burning more of it before I give you guys a dedicated review. But I do love this fragrance. If you have been intrigued by it, that watermelon fragrance note is done very, very well. And while we are talking about melon fragrances, I did start burning the new Melon Medley from the Kringle 3-wicks. Again, these are part of those like 3 for 33 candles. We have fragrance notes of watermelon, citrus, and vanilla sugar. And here's the thing, this burning well. This is a different fragrance though than that Minty Melon. Watermelon is what is predominant in Minty Melon. I'm going to tell you guys, this fragrance to me, I smell a little bit of honeydew. Like I get more of like a honeydew note in here mixed with watermelon. I do detect some watermelon. It's a sweet fragrance, but it's not, again, overly sugary sweet. The thing I will say about this fragrance is that I also experienced this with Grandma's Lemonade. The first burns on these, there was something that smelled a little bit off on them, like the first hour of the burn. And then as the wax pool deepened, I was like, oh, okay, now the fragrance is coming together. So I don't know if it's something with the colored wax. I don't know. They both smelled a little strange to me on first burn. I don't know if it was the wicks and the wax. I don't know, but I will tell you that that fragrance quickly dissipated after about the first hour, and then everything was fine. Wicks are performing well on this one as well. You can see I got a little bit of a line of demarcation there from the wax pool. But yeah, this is nice. They pair really nicely with each other. If you want good, juicy watermelon, I'm going to say go with the Minty Melon. That fragrance, I will say, is like a slightly more elevated watermelon fragrance. This one, to me, it's still a good melon fragrance, but it's different. It's not as watermelon forward. There's definitely some more honeydew in here, little bit of sugar. It's maybe not as like, I want to say like refreshing drink type of thing that I would think of like as what I think of with Minty Melon. But I do enjoy this fragrance and they pair really nicely. So keep your eyes peeled. I'll have a dedicated review on this one. Probably I would say within the next 2 weeks. Again, you guys, I've got a lot of fragrances here that I'm like, I need to review some of these. Let's go ahead and talk about a fragrance that I did do a dedicated review on earlier this week. Now you're going to see the wax looks a little bit wonky on this, and it's because soy wax takes quite a while to actually fully solidify after you have extinguished the flames, particularly for me in Arizona. Right now, our weather is heating up. So even my like internal temperatures in my house is in the low 70s. So it's taking a little bit while longer for the wax to solidify. So I moved this candle before. I thought the wax was solidified, and then I moved it and I was like, oh, darn it, it's not. So it'll pull out perfectly fine when I go to relight this. But this is Banana Boat. Now, I did do a dedicated review on this. This fragrance, to me, you guys, this one is so interesting because when you smell it on cold, the top notes on this candle are lime and pineapple, and you smell that when you sniff it on cold. However, the mid notes on this are banana and coconut, and then there's a base note of vanilla. And I did mention in my post-burn review that this candle, once it gets burning for about an hour, the first hour you definitely smell pineapple and lime, and when you get after about that hour of burn time, the banana and the coconut comes through and shines with that vanilla. It's not Laffy Taffy banana. It's not artificial banana. It's just like perfectly done, creamy, not gourmand banana and coconut. It reminds me an awful lot of if Banana Boat, on cold, it smells like a little bit like Banana Boat sunscreen, but when it's burning, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Sunbum sunscreen, which is my favorite like body sunscreen. I love this fragrance. Now, when I say sunscreen, I do want you guys to hear that this does not smell like Yankee's Sun and Sand or any of the other quote unquote sunscreen scents that might be more like the vacation sunscreen. Those fragrances tend to put base notes or they put fragrance notes of neroli in there. Sometimes a sandalwood. It's not at all like that. This is more like lighter. Again, if you tend to like more banana type of sunscreen fragrances, there's no chemical like type of scent at all. It's just more of like the creamy goodness aspects that we like for, it's more of like the body care fragrances that we would like in a sunscreen more than it is like any kind of chemical SPF. So this fragrance is really nice. Caramel Sundays is doing their restock tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. So I did recommend that if it is within your budget, I would highly recommend this 4-wick of Banana Boat. Now, I will say that a lot of these Caramel Sundays fragrances, kind of similar to Kringle, I would say that they take about 3 burns to really come into their full element, where they really come into their potential. And I also find that the deeper the wax pool gets on these candles, the more fragrance gets emitted. So I love this scent. It's performing very well in my home. It's about an 8 in terms of strength and throw in this format. If you purchase it in the 2-wick, you might want to consider putting it into a hurricane to get some extra oomph, because I did mention that in my golden hour review yesterday, that it does okay on its own in my bedroom in the closed concept, but if you stick it in a hurricane, it definitely improves that strength and throw. So definitely recommend Banana Boat for tonight if you happen to like those types of fragrances. Another Kringle candle, actually, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to talk about the Kringle candle that I've been burning with Banana Boat. Is one of my all-time favorites. This is one of the candles that I am working on an Untouchables list. I hope to possibly put that up next weekend for you guys. My spring and summer untouchables. This is the fragrance Seab Breeze from Kringle Candle. We have fragrance notes of ozone, coconut, fruit, green, coconut, and amber. This is very much like a, just like a summery, beachy, pure, you get sea salt air and coconut going on in this fragrance. This is so well done. Now I have 2 of these in the 3-wick format. And once I go through those, this is one of the fragrances that I would definitely purchase in a 4-wick. No doubts about it. This is just a beautiful fragrance. It combines so well. This with that banana boat. Oh my word. Wonderful, wonderful fragrance. I could also see myself burning Yankee Candles Vanilla Lime with banana boat, but that combo was just perfect. This performs very well for me right now. It was throwing at about, I would say about an 8 in terms of strength and throw. Now, I do believe that the 3-wick format is currently sold out, but I would say Sea Breeze, if you're somebody who loves like ocean sea salt air, but you like coconut mixed with it, you are going to really, really want to get your hands on this fragrance. If you want beachy air without coconut, I would recommend the candle that I showcased in a haul last week, which is Sea Salt and Tonka. I did purchase that in the 4-wick. While we are on a bit of a beachy theme, I have also been burning a fragrance from Homeworx, Warm Vanilla Coconut. We have fragrance notes of vanilla musk, coconut water, neroli blossom, sun-kissed sandalwood. Now, this is a fragrance that it's funny. I went on the Homeworx website or the Slatkin & Co website, and this one is not showing up under the 4-wicks, but if you type in warm vanilla coconut, it'll pop up for you guys. So go to the website and see if it's still there. If this is still there, I'm going to tell you guys, this is a fragrance that I would repurchase. This is very nice. Now, this is a very different fragrance than Sea Breeze. I do get a little bit more of the sandalwood note in here, which you guys know I love the way that Homeworx does sandalwood. They do it very, very well. So does Caramel Sundays. You get some sandalwood. You get kind of like a toasted, creamy coconut. This is like a very sophisticated take. If you happen to like Bath and Body Works Vanilla Coconut, I can't remember what it was called last year. Was it called Vanilla Coconut Surf? This to me smells like a slightly elevated take on that fragrance. It pairs nicely with a lot of other scents. You do get a little bit of neroli blossom in there, which gives you, again, kind of what I was just talking about with Banana Boat, how it's missing that like quote unquote sunscreeny type of scent. This to me, it doesn't smell like sunscreen per se, but it does smell like a little bit, maybe like if sunscreen were elevated. Maybe this, if you happen to like the vacation perfume, I feel like this, it's not a dupe, it's not the same fragrance, but I feel like if that's the way that you kind of bend towards, that you would like this. This smells very high-end, luxurious beachside vacation resort. That's what I smell in this warm vanilla coconut. Very nice. I do get a little bit of coconut in there, but again, it's kind of like, it's not a gourmand coconut, kind of a good creamy coconut, not artificial. I will say strength and throw on this one. It's a little bit lighter. Out in the open concept, it does get lost a little bit. I would probably amp it up by using a hurricane with it. In my closed concept, it does pretty well. So I'm going to put it at about a 6 in terms of strength and throw, but I will hope to get a dedicated review on this one again out within the next couple of weeks. And then a candle that I have done a dedicated review on. This is the only one from the new Reserve lineup that I've gotten my full thoughts documented, but this is the fragrance Lemon Splash. We have fragrance notes of lemon, citrus zest, sparkling aldehydes, citrus, green, and sugar. And here's the thing, you guys. This is definitely more in line with like what a lot of people would call like quote unquote cleaner lemon. Now to me, I love this fragrance. This is very much a clean lemon scent. It smells like freshly picked lemons off of the tree. You go in and you freshly cut them open and you put them in a nice cold glass of ice water. That's what this fragrance smells like to me. It's not an artificial lemon. It's which is why I sometimes hesitate to say cleaner lemon, because cleaner lemon sometimes can be very artificial if you buy it in like the Lysol form or something like that. It doesn't remind me of Lysol or Pine Sol, but it is a very fresh lemon scent. There's they say a little bit of sugar in here, but it's nowhere near the sugariness of like the Grandma's Lemonade or any of the ones that I've gotten from Bath and Body Works. The aldehydes in here give it kind of a kind of like an aquatic component, which again, I said that's why I think of it being in like a glass of water, of ice water. It's very, very well done. This I have been burning with a lot of other candles this week. My favorite pairing this week, ironically, because I'm already done with the Spanish moss and the bunnies and flowers, I started pairing this with the Easter petals, which has kind of like a little bit of like an orange blossom type of note, but there's an opening top note of lemon on there, and it's been a really, really nice combination. It's just really made my house smell very like fresh, almost summery, but very clean. But I've really, really been enjoying this fragrance. So I actually have, I think I burned like through 3/4 of the wax on this one already. So really, really nice fragrance if you like those good, fresh lemon scents. And then the last candle that I wanted to talk about is Hyde Park Lilac. Now, we all know how much I love my lilac fragrances. This is a scent that I recently picked up in my Homeworx haul. We have fragrance notes of spring lilac blossoms, daylily, iris petals, violet leaf. Okay, so this candle to me, it's definitely a lilac fragrance. Do I love it as much as I love Kringle Candles Fresh Lilac? No. Kringle Candles Fresh Lilac is still the most nostalgic. It's my favorite because it does remind me of like freshly trimmed off of the bush lilacs. There's a little bit of that like woody element of the stems included in that fragrance. Number 2 for me, a very, very close second place would be Lilac and Lily. I will actually purchase another one of those because I love the combination of lilac and lily with fresh lilac. This isn't bad though. This is nice. If you prefer Homeworx candles, if you prefer, the way that they, if you like their packaging or whatever better, this is a nice option. Is this going to be repurchase worthy for me? No, because I already have other lilac fragrances that I like. I will say this fragrance to me, it's lacking the woody stem that fresh lilac has. So if you don't like that aspect, then you might be intrigued by this. Is this still a nice lilac floral? Yes. There is a little tiny bit of powderiness to this. It's not as perfumey, soapy, powdery as that lilac macaron that was in the country candle format. That, truthfully, you guys, has been my least favorite lilac fragrance so far. I actually just finished that up. Not going to be a repurchase for me. But this is nice. Strength and throw on this one is around like a 7.5. It projects pretty well, which florals minus that blooming trellis do tend to do pretty well in my home. Again, this pairs nicely with lemon. I've also been burning it with the Caramel Sundays Bakery on Main, which is a great vanilla gourmand. But I like lilac fragrances, but again, there's something about this that just doesn't scream as much nostalgia for me as the fresh lilac. It's definitely a lilac forward scent. But I will say that you do get a little bit of lily in there. Maybe they have violet leaf and iris petals. I will say that those green notes kind of they're not as bold and robust upon burn as I was smelling on cold. But again, this is a nice option, but is it something that I feel like I'm going to need over and over? I need backups of it? No, because I already have another lilac fragrance that I thoroughly enjoy. That being said, lilac is the fragrance that I will be burning tomorrow for Easter Sunday. I will probably still have that lemon sugar marshmallow going in the crock in my daughter's room, but I have decided that my Easter Sunday combination will be fresh lilac. Either with Bakery on Main from Caramel Sundays, and I might get real fancy and also throw in lilac and lily because I just love that fragrance for Easter Sunday. So my plans for tomorrow, we're still kind of on the fence about what we're going to do, if we're going to attend church on Saturday night or on Sunday morning. We weren't really sure, but our home church is actually only having service on Sunday morning. Our church is in this place. It's a good problem to have. We have had so much growth over the last, I would say, year and a half that we are in the process of trying to determine, we're going to have to build a bigger church essentially, but our church leadership is very, very wise and cautious. I appreciate that about them, but we are in the process. So part of me is like, I don't even know if we're going to be able to get a seat tomorrow if we come for church, which honestly, it's okay. If there's other people that want to show up with their families or whatnot, I'll give them my seat. That's totally fine. But anyways, our plans are to attend church service either Saturday night or Easter Sunday morning. And then we have a tradition that started, goodness, over 10 years ago with some of our closest friends. At the time, we didn't have any family that lived here. And so we always got together on Easter Sunday. We would do a little bit of a barbecue. And since then, we've added more children to our little group. Our friends, their parents have moved here. And so now we include their parents. When my parents were alive, we would include them. And it's just kind of grown into, I invite some other people too who maybe don't have family around, and we just have a great time. We still set up a little bit of an Easter egg hunt, even though my kids are now 16, 13, and 11. They still ask, are we going to do an Easter egg hunt? And I'm like, okay, but also in Arizona, we can't be putting any chocolate in those eggs because it's going to melt. It's supposed to be like 80 degrees. So anyways, it's always just a fun time. I always really enjoy Easter Sunday. For those of you who celebrate the holiday, especially if you are my fellow Christians, this is a really, really big holiday for us. Christmas is fun, and there's a whole bunch of nostalgia attached to that too. But truthfully, for me personally, Easter Sunday, Resurrection Sunday is what we refer to it in the Christian faith, is actually it's the whole reason why we believe what we believe. So it's a very, very important high holy day for myself and for our family. And so it's just one that I always look forward to every year. So let me know in the comment box down below if you have any plans for this weekend. I always like to hear what you guys are up to. Maybe what are you planning to burn on Easter Sunday, or what do you want your house to smell like? Are you going to be having guests over? Are you going to go over to somebody else's house? Oh, another fun tradition that I'm like, oh, we have to do it. Every year my kids try to decorate a lamb cake, and it is so funny. I love seeing those Pinterest fails of lamb cakes. So we usually always try to bake a couple of those for my kids to decorate, and some of our friends' kids. So I have to get on that as well this week. So anyways, you guys, I do want to thank you so very, very much for hanging out with me today and just chatting about wax. This is always just a fun video for me to film with all of you guys. Thank you also for all of your wonderful feedback on the video I did with my daughter last week. I will probably include her again in some future videos. We had a good time filming that together, and she really enjoyed that. So again, you guys, thank you again. And I really hope that you guys all have a happy Easter, to those of you who celebrate. And yeah, until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.